Let's get started. Start with listening, and then learn new words and practice them in sentences.
Have you ever wondered how to discuss your daily routine in English? Well, you're in luck. Today we're diving into the world of daily routines. We'll explore key verbs and phrases to describe everyday activities. From the moment you wake up to when you relax at the end of the day, we'll cover it all. We'll also touch on how to express the time and frequency of these activities. Ready to dive into the world of daily routines? Here we go. Imagine you are waking up to a brand new day. What's the first thing you do? Our day often begins with the sound of an alarm clock buzzing in our ears. We reach out, hit the snooze button, and then finally, we wake up. Yes, wake up. This phrase is as simple as it sounds. It's the act of opening our eyes and starting our day. Once we're up, the next thing we usually do is get dressed. We go to our closet, pick out our clothes, and put them on. Get dressed is the phrase we use to describe this action. Now, remember, we've just woken up, so a little personal hygiene is in order. We head to the bathroom to brush our teeth. This phrase is pretty straightforward. It's the act of cleaning our teeth with a toothbrush and toothpaste. With a fresh mouth and dressed for the day, it's time to fuel our bodies. We go to the kitchen to eat breakfast. Eat breakfast is the phrase we use for this morning meal. It could be a bowl of cereal, a slice of toast, or maybe even pancakes if we're feeling fancy. After breakfast, the last thing we do before we start our day is leave the house. Whether we're off to work, school, or just out for a jog, leave the house describes the act of exiting our home to start our day's activities. Now let's see how these phrases work in a conversation. Picture this. You're chatting with a friend and they ask you, "What's your morning routine like?" You could respond, "Well, I usually wake up around 7, get dressed, brush my teeth, eat breakfast, and then leave the house for work." See how these phrases naturally fit into the conversation? They provide a clear and concise way to describe our morning activities. So that's how we talk about our morning routine. Now let's move on to the next part of our day. We've had our morning coffee and now it's time for the afternoon. What happens next? As the sun climbs to its zenith, our day takes on a new rhythm. This is the time when many of us delve into our work or studies, or perhaps engage in other activities that fill our day. Let's discuss some of the most common activities that might take place in the afternoon. Imagine our friend Jane. She might say, "I usually go to work in the afternoon." Simple, right? But what if she wants to be more specific about her activities at work? She might say, "After lunch, I attend meetings." Or maybe, "I often work on projects in the afternoon." Each phrase gives us a little more insight into Jane's afternoon routine. Now, let's consider our friend John. He's a student. He might say, "I usually have classes in the afternoon," but suppose he wants to share more about his study habits. He could say, "After lunch, I study in the library." Or perhaps, "I often meet with my study group in the afternoon." Again, each phrase adds more depth to our understanding of John's daily schedule. Note how Jane and John use phrases like usually and often. These are adverbs of frequency and they help us understand how regularly these activities occur. Usually suggests something that happens most of the time, while often implies that the activity happens regularly, but not necessarily all the time. Also, observe how they use after lunch to indicate the sequence of their activities. This is a simple yet effective way to describe the order in which things happen during the day. So, whether it's attending meetings at work like Jane, or studying in the library like John, the afternoon is often a busy time filled with a variety of activities. And by using phrases such as go to work, have lunch, attend meetings, or study, we can effortlessly describe our afternoon routines in English. And that's how we talk about our afternoon routine. But the day isn't over yet. The sun is setting, and we're winding down for the day. What's your evening routine? Let's explore some of the common activities that many people engage in during the evening. First up, we have come home. It's been a long day, and you are finally back in the comfort of your own space. "I usually come home around 6 in the evening" is an example of how you can use this phrase. Next, we have make dinner. Whether you're cooking up a gourmet meal or just reheating leftovers, this phrase is a staple in our evening routine. You might say, "I sometimes make dinner with my family," or "I often make dinner for myself." After dinner, it's time to unwind. Many people choose to watch TV. Whether it's your favorite show, a movie, or the news, watching TV is a common way to relax in the evening. "I usually watch TV for an hour or two before bed" is one way you might use this phrase. Another popular evening activity is to read a book. Whether it's a novel, a self-help guide, or a comic book, reading is a great way to wind down. You might say, I often read a book before going to sleep. Finally, we have go to bed. This is the last thing we do at the end of the day, and it's crucial for our health and well-being. I usually go to bed around 11 is a typical way you might use this phrase. Let's put these together in a conversation. Imagine you're chatting with a friend. You might say, I usually come home around 6, then make dinner. After that, I watch TV or read a book to relax. I usually go to bed around 11. See how we've incorporated all of our evening routine phrases into this dialogue? It's a simple and effective way to discuss your daily routine in English. That's how we wrap up our day in English. But wait, there's more. Stay tuned for our next scene where we summarize everything we've learned and give you some final tips for discussing your daily routine. We've covered a lot today, haven't we? Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. Today, we delved into the world of daily routines and the language we use to talk about them. We started our day with the morning routine, waking up, washing up, and eating breakfast. We then moved on to the afternoon routine, which included going to work or school, eating lunch, and doing our daily tasks. And finally, we explored the evening routine, which involved returning home, having dinner, and relaxing before going to bed. In each of these sections, we introduced common verbs and phrases that are used when discussing these activities. We also explored how to describe the time and frequency of these activities, using adverbs of time and expressions like every day, sometimes, and usually. This language is not just for talking about your own routine, but it's also for asking others about their day. Remember, the key to mastering a new language is practice. So why not start by using these phrases in your day-to-day conversations? Describe your routines to your friends, ask them about theirs, and see how comfortable you get with time. Remember, it's okay to make mistakes. They are stepping stones to success. Keep practicing, keep improving. Now you're ready to talk about your daily routine in English. Keep practicing, and you'll be a pro in no time.
Let's learn new words and practice English at level A2. Wake up. Wake up to stop sleeping and start your day. Example, I usually wake up at 7 a.m. every day. Get dressed. Get dressed to put on clothes. Example, after I wake up, I get dressed for school or work. Breakfast. Breakfast, the first meal of the day, usually eaten in the morning. Example, I always have breakfast with my family. Go to work. Go to work to travel to your place of employment. Example, I go to work by bus, it takes about 30 minutes. Lunch. Lunch, a meal eaten in the middle of the day, typically one taken at work or school. Example, I have lunch at 1 p.m., usually a sandwich or salad. Come home. Come home, to return to one's house. Example, I usually come home around 6 p.m. Dinner. Dinner, the main meal of the day, eaten in the evening. Example, we have dinner together as a family around 7 p.m. Go to bed. Go to bed, to lie down on one's bed to sleep. Example, I go to bed at 10 p.m. after watching a little TV.